Welcome back to the show. Together We Thrive is a business network of a broad coalition of government, not-for-profit, as well as corporate partners supporting Black-owned businesses in New York City. Now, the coalition was launched in response to the disproportionate impact of COVID-19 on Black-owned businesses. Our next guest first connected with Together We Thrive in December of 2020 and are still partners with this organization. Joining us now to discuss more is the owner of Bushwick Grind, and we've got Kymme Williams-Davis with us all the way from Bushwick, Brooklyn. And Kymme, good to have you.
Hello, good to be here. Thank you for covering and your interest in Together We Thrive and our little mom pop cafe in East Williamsburg, Brooklyn, called Bushwick Grind.
Yeah, and here you are, and you're out there and you're grinding it out literally. Your cafe is doing well, and talk to us about where you're located and what you offer.
Yeah, so of course our name is Bushwick Grind, and just usually people walk in and always are like, am I in Bushwick? And it's like, not quite. So the name Bushwick Grind is really an ode to who I call my three Brooklyn mothers. My great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother were all Bushwick girls, and they all grinded. My grandmother was a teacher and a nurse, an educator and a nurse. My grandmother, my great-grandmother were all, women who are about their thrive, and about their grind. So the name is Bushwick Grind is an ode to them, but we are in East Williamsburg, Brooklyn. We're at 63 Whipple Street, Brooklyn, New York. We're about 2 blocks away from Woodhull Hospital, for those who know the area.
Mm-hmm. Know Woodhull very well, and definitely been down there many a time. And I want to talk to you about your work, because not only are you a business owner, you're also a partner, and you've partnered with Together We Thrive in the Black Business Network, and that has formed a really, really, really great relationship between you both. Talk to us about the connection there.
Yeah, I mean, I think, they are an organization which I am a recipient of. I don't know if I elevate to partnership, but I have been partnering with that organization who have been, I kind of called them board of directors. At times, small mom and pop shops, you usually don't have an external voice where you can kind of throw some things against. When during COVID, you had all these different legislations, all these different regulations that were coming out, just kind of sparsing that information and going through the details of some of the things like PPP forgiveness, networking with other people, looking for different avenues that we can advocate to, like the restaurant revitalization funds and things like that. So they were really great partners in providing information to me. They connected me with the local SDBC, who have now become like our regular customers, my advisors with the Small Business Administration Office. They have, nominated our business to be a recipient of Pace University senior class, who did a big market review on us. Their whole semester was based off of Bushwick Grind as a case study. And they came out with all these different recommendations, marketing campaigns, finance campaigns, all of that. So they've been very great in terms of partnering to make sure we thrive, literally, together.
And for you, what is it like to have, because I think you talked about it just a second ago, having this network of people, these people who you can lean into. And as a small business, sometimes you're out there on your own and you're trying to navigate, and Lord knows between the course of COVID-19, these last 2 years, it's been hard on businesses. But has it been great to have these people to balance, to be able to bounce off of and to lean into?
Well, I would say it's like that common phrase that is even biblical, right? Like you want your name to be mentioned in rooms that you're not in. And it's really that type of experience. So, they bring me up to initiatives and things and programs and services that I'm not even aware about. So, they will hear things going on and they're like, oh, I know a great business that can, answer that call, or that can take care of that request. So they'll bring me up, they'll request or recommend or refer me in cases where these are things that I don't even know, or don't have the network. I don't have the network strong enough to know about. So that's really a good example of how it is.
And so for you, you also do a great job of locally sourcing your food and your coffee, you know. And when we talk about locally sourcing, that's not something that everybody engages in, but you've made it a priority. Why?
Yeah, it's very difficult to do. I see why we can't. We were more successful at it, I would say, before COVID. There has been more constraints in supply chain, but the real reason is because when I first started this, I remember about 3 or 4 years ago, there was a recall on romaine lettuce, and there were actually, which was attached to deaths, and it was only a certain region in the world, if you got that romaine from, that you had to recall. So when I went back to my very large distributor that a lot of restaurants use, and that there's nothing that is wrong with them, but I was just shocked to know that they could not just tell me what region of the world that produce came from. So that's when I started to really look for, and it's definitely important to us to shop small, shop local, shop with marginalized companies as much as possible. So, you know, I looked out to the state of New York, local being the whole state of New York. So there has been upstate farmers that had a coalition. They had a beautiful app that came out, and that I could order my produce from them, and they would come downstate. There'll be about 50 or 60 different restaurants through the state of New York. They would come downstate, and they would do this truck delivery once a week. Also local coffee roasters, you know, it's very, very important that we, you know, procure coffee from coffee that's purchased and roasted, that's roasted right here in New York City, here in Brooklyn, actually. We feature other coffee roasters too, out of like North Carolina and other places, but those three things are really, really important to us: to buy local, to buy Black owned, and marginalized people. So we have a retail shelf that's full of what we call Black business to business to business, where we have a plethora of different owners, products on our wall that we feature on our website, and people can come here to buy.
Yeah, you're also a recipient of several awards, and one of those is the 1010 Win Small Business Grant. Talk to us about the fact of just being a recipient, and how you've been able to also just garner some attention.
It was amazing. I didn't expect to win first place. I was shocked. I put my name in the hat for everything. If something is coming out, a small business pitch competition, I'm here for it. A latte art competition, we're here for it. If it's an initiative, we don't shy away from doing it. So I just got my pitch together. I talked about our community farm. I talked about our community fridge. I talked about our long-term goals, and it seemed to align with the judges. So we happened to win first place.
Yeah, make our viewers more familiar. I mean, you're doing a great job over there, and I would say it's a husband and wife combination doing that too. And so you guys are getting it going, and somebody's got to keep it going. And so we thank goodness that both of you are working and making that happen. But talk to us about that community kitchen, and we talk about the kitchen, if you will. There's some great things happening there too through community fridges.
So it's actually a community fridge. It's a whole refrigerator that sits right outside of our cafe. We got started with our work with Occupy City Hall. At the time, there was a bunch of organizers who wanted to bring food to the people who were protesting during the George Floyd massacre, the after effects of that. So these organizers just really wanted to feed the people, and they wanted to feed them healthy meals. So when they came to us, we offered to donate the food, and they would not have it. They instead, they let us do one donation, and then they purchased for about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, food from us. And then when that initiative was over, we just had such a great relationship, and we were just so well aligned with our goals to fix food insecurity, to get our community to eat healthy, to bring wellness, that we just kept the relationship going. We offered our space so the community chefs can cook here and bring food to all the different community fridges. So it was only natural that we host our own community fridge. It's called 2 Fish 5 Loaves, and it sits right in front of our shop. People come day or night. They can, if you want to make any deposits in our community fridge, you can. If you want to volunteer to clean it, to service it, deposit something in, withdraw something out, is for us, for all of us.
Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so food justice is really at your heart. I think when we look at New York, there is so much food insecurity, particularly during particularly during COVID. And I know that a lot of businesses actually had to really shut down. Some had to go on the severe decline during COVID, but it seems as though you're able to navigate it and still be able to provide services in spite of.
Yeah, one of the things that helped us a lot, I can't imagine what would have happened had we not had this opportunity, but because we are MWBE certified, we were able to bid for government contracts. We secured a contract with the city of New York to feed the vaccine sites. So from January through July, we provided over 300 meals a day to the amazing medical staff that was working at the vaccine site. So that food fed anywhere from the security guards to the volunteers to the actual medical staff. And again, from January to July, we were the city of New York was our client, and that really sustained us. And if it wasn't for our position with food justice and having wellness products on our menu, we might not have even been selected. They were really after a cafe that could help bring a healthier food option. So we were doing breakfast, lunch, and dinner to sites all over Canarsie and Bushwick and East New York, and it was a lot of fun for us. And again, we just tapped into opportunities that could help sustain us while the cafe was lower in volume.
Yeah. So what's it like now, given the fact that we're a little bit further through this pandemic, and trying to get things back to normal? What's been the community response? How's business going for you now that we're back to a little bit better? I won't never say a sense of normalcy, but yeah, a little bit more normalcy. How about that?
I would say we're still treading uphill. We haven't gotten to a nice little steady plateau yet, but you know what doesn't kill you make you stronger. And me and the team, we're kind of in this thing together, and just kind of very, very committed to seeing it through and getting to the other side of it. Right now, there's, worker shortages. There's tons of weird supply chain shortages. For example, a case of, cups that used to cost me $60 a case is now $150 for the exact same case. And I'm not transferring those cost increases to our customers because there is a point in pricing that you just can't transfer. And there's, weird, very, very weird shortages and delays with packing. And then when you have the like the Omicron virus, where some points you can be inside, some points you can't, some points that, so we navigate those things, but I just think we try our best to do it in grace and understand everybody who walks at the door in this door has their own different perspective. And we just try to respect those perspectives.
Yeah, and I know that you spoke a little bit about this a second ago, but the supply chain issue is huge for people across the nation. We're dealing with supply shortages, and then you're dealing with the increased prices. But I mean, I give you a huge shout out and kudos for not being able to transfer those prices over to your customers, but a lot of businesses have to. What has been the key for you is say, listen, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just rely on something else.
Yeah, we've had to definitely change our menu up a bit, and we get some gripes for it because you can't tell the story to everyone who walks in the door. We're making this change because of this thing. One, they just want to get their coffee and meals and go. But we've had to modify our menu quite substantially. We've had to take off items that have a higher price point. We completely removed our brunch menu at this point. Don't have the ability to do too much indoor dining anyway. So the meals that people want to come in, sit down, pat your feet and stay a while, we're not doing that right now. We'll get back to it. So that was one strategy that we used. Another strategy is our staffing. Sometimes we'll just have one person on shift where we used to have two. So lines might be a little longer. There are some items where we just, we haven't raised our food prices in probably 4 years. So there's maybe like 4 or 5 items on the menu that went up by 50 cents. One of the other things we had to do is come out of some of the app orderings because those fees are so high. So we just kind of did what anybody would do in their own home. When you have to budget and when, desperation inspires creativity, we just got creative with the numbers.
Yeah. Well, thank you for what you do. I mean, obviously it's a lot. And a lot has been imposed upon you, but yet and still you're cranking out a lot towards the community, cranking out a lot for those people who are really dealing and on the front lines. And that's amazing. That resilience, if you will, and that ability to go forward and really in spite of, where'd that come from?
My three Brooklyn mothers. That's, that and remembering the why. Like if our purpose was to come here and just make the donuts, I would have stopped at the beginning of COVID. I lost my father from COVID. It was a very difficult time. And if the why was just to, like I said, like I always say, our business is, our product is food and beverage, but our business is people. Our business is community. So because we're so rooted into the community and doing those other things, like how do you stop? When there was times we had to close because we flooded for Hurricane Ida, we had to close for like 4 weeks. While we were closed, the community fridge was in service. So imagine if we closed permanently. So it's those roots and those other initiatives that makes us keep going. And I don't know how much time you got, but I want to say something before I jump off of this line, because it's Bronx TV, it's Bronx, BronxNet. Shout out to the Bronx barista, Joe. Anybody who's in the world of specialty coffee know this brother. He has brought specialty coffee to the forefront. He creates a special community in specialty coffee. So there is no way in the world. Back in the day, about 6 years ago, when we first opened, he graced our bar and slinged some spros for a little bit, but I can't be in his house and not shout him out because he's epic.
Thank you so much, Kymme. No, shout out to Joe and shout out to you. Thank you for you and your husband and the great work that's going on there at the Bushwick Grind. It's been a pleasure talking to you and have you here on the Social Justice Forums. Continue to keep up the great work and providing that much needed gap for those people who have food insecurity, those who are on the front lines. And I know your business is going to be blessed. So thank you so much for being with us.
Okay, thank you so much. You guys, thank you for having me and have a great day.
All righty. Kymme Williams-Davis here, our guest here on the Social Justice Forums. We thank her for joining us.